People who suffer from sleep paralysis, what do your demons look like? I never see them, but there is a strong sense that I am not alone in the room. There's something there, I can't move, and I can't yell for help. Very tall, shadowy figure, indistinct. Giant spider that forms out of the walls or ceiling and just hangs out. I used to get sleep paralysis all the time in my late teens and early 20s, but only once did I ever see anything. I had just gone through a breakup, and I went to bed crying. When I woke up, unable to move, there was this hazy shadow cat slinking around on the bed, purring and rubbing against me. I didn't live with any cats at that time, but I felt comforted and drifted back to sleep. It's a humanoid creature, woman-like, very malnourished and grim. It has no eyes, only pitch black holes. I've never actually seen anything. It's just a presence in the room. I always know it's coming on when I hear what sounds like static or a waterfall, really faint at first, and then getting louder and louder. By the time I first hear it, I can't move. It feels like someone is just outside of my vision as the sound gets louder and louder. When it gets at its loudest, suddenly bam, it's over and I can move. It's so weird. I'm old now, so when I first experienced these as a child there was no internet to look it up. It was absolutely horrifying, and trying to explain it to my mom, I sounded insane. Now I just roll with it, and I actually rarely experience it anymore. But it used to come around every other month or so. I have sleep paralysis, but no demons. It's more of an annoyance for me nowadays than scary, and I've trained myself to break out of it very quickly. It does feel like if I can't break out of it, I'm going to suffocate though. A long time ago I would have auditory hallucinations during it that sounded like footsteps running toward me, but thankfully that stopped. I don't have sleep paralysis, but I do have hallucinations, and they typically look like dark, hunched over, humanoid shapes. One time I was laying on my side and an old hag bent over and looked me in the face. That was probably the most terrifying. Sleep masks have helped quite a bit. A shadow in a top hat once. Another time was a child made of oil crawling up from the foot of the bed. Back when I was a bit younger and going through a really rough period, it was a human-like woman. Her appendages were longer than a normal person, digits were long and sharp, no distinguishable features except black bulbous eyes, pale white skin, and a black hole for a mouth. She opened it, and the noise that came out was a mixture of radio static, children screaming, and a vacuum being opened up like a hole in a spaceship. Nowadays I'm so used to sleep paralysis that there are 3 indicators and I can fight through them. One indicator is losing my glasses in dream, my phone breaking in dream, or dogs smothering me in dream. If any of those things happen in my dream, it's an indicator that I'll eventually undergo sleep paralysis. I can usually fight my way out of it. They don't look like anything. There's a strong presence in the room that's dark, heavy, and suffocating. I've seen dark figures and shadows standing over me or across the room, but never any distinguishing features. My dad, Sarah Jessica Parker. I only had sleep paralysis twice before in very stressful times in my life. But mine was a tall, shadowy, skinny, humanoid form with bright yellow eyes. Just stood there, freaked me out for a minute before I realized what happened, then I just went back to sleep. My dad says his one looked like The Grudge. Apparently a woman with very long hair and white dress would sit beside him or caress his face even since he was a small child. I haven't had any strong sleep paralysis episodes in years. I had a mini episode a couple weeks back randomly, but it was just me breathing heavy, unable to move. Compared to what I'm used to, hard to say it was even a sleep paralysis episode. So my entities, static shadowy entities, usually humanoid shape. Sometimes a cat that jumps on my bed. If I look at them, my brain is assaulted by an increasing buzzing that hurts and shakes everything. If I try and move, the buzzing gets harder and the world slowly grows red. I feel like I'm slowly being consumed. Usually it is the humanoid entity in the doorway. It's been a shadow on the wall a couple of times. The cat happened 3 times that I can remember. The consistent theme is feeling like my brain is being assaulted while I lay trapped. Interestingly enough, I've always found myself on my back after I wake up. Never in another position. Learning not to fight it helped clear up the episodes and make them mild when they did happen. Seems clearing up my unresolved stress made them go away. I used to suffer from this as a child. It was mainly always a demon who looked like a woman with long black hair, no true face, just shadowy bony, but you could just tell. I haven't suffered from this in decades because the last couple times it happened all I did was repeat "God save me." Over in my head I would break out of it. Hasn't happened again since then. Like a handful of people here, I have never experienced any demons. However, sometimes I'll hallucinate that someone who lives in the house, mom, or boyfriend has come into the room to do something like get something from the wardrobe or delve in a sock drawer and then leave, and I've tried to call out to them to help me, but they don't hear, and I understand it's 'cause I can't actually move my mouth or work my voice. Then I eventually actually wake up. Eventually time is hard to gauge in that state, and seek them out to ask them what they heard, and what they saw 'cause I'm usually curious to find out if my eyes were open, because otherwise I don't understand how I can see the room in such detail, and the response has always been I haven't been into your room. So, I guess my demons look like my loved ones ignoring me. Are there people who suffer from sleep paralysis? Like on the regular? I've always heard of it as sort of a random instance people can have every now and then. I myself experienced it when I was in high school, and it was terrifying until I gained the ability to move. I don't remember a demon. Mostly just unable to move and only able to look around with my eyes, and it put me into a slight panic before I snapped out of it after what felt like under a minute or so. That was like 20 years ago though, so of course I don't remember exactly. Just asked a buddy this and he said he doesn't have one, but I have an uncle and aunt who said they saw a monkey. I know I've heard of it in the Mexican community, a sleep paralysis demon called El Chango, though even my American coworker said he had a monkey, so I get what that's about. I had one and didn't really have a demon. Felt like a mouse was gnawing my fingers, and for whatever reason my view would switch to Frieza from DBZ slowly walking up my stairs to get me. Weird.